We welcome you back to Talk at the Town for this Tuesday, October the 5th. I'm Gary Stevens. It's the first Tuesday of the month, which means we sort of unofficially title our program today, We Feel the Zeal. We'll be joined by the Master Gardener, Jan Muse, and from the Bryan Seed, Washington and Elm in downtown Zeeland, between 10 and 11. But between now and the top of the hour, we find out what's going on in the city of Zeeland from the man who is its mayor. Kevin Klynstra joins us via the Zoom connection. And Kevin, good morning and welcome back to WHTC.
Good morning, Gary.
Glad you are with us. And if you have a question about what's going on in Zeeland, Kevin Klynstra is a good man to ask. He's been the mayor for how many years now?
10 years now, Gary.
And with city council, as Zeeland's municipal government is a mayor council format. How many years now on council?
26.
If something's going on in Zeeland, dollars to donuts, and no, he's not going to pay for the dollars or donuts. Kevin Klynstra will certainly know. Give him a call give us a call, I should say, at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. Last Saturday, from all reports, the parade went very, very well.
It did. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day Friday as well when the festival started. And I think we had record numbers out for the festival this year. We had good numbers for the parade and all the events. I've never seen so many people at the events for Pumpkin Fest. So everything went great. And I think we can thank the weather a little bit, but we have a big thanks to say to the festival committee to putting that all on and putting it all together. Even during the pandemic. So we a big thank you to them.
It's almost as if people were almost grateful to have that back. It's almost as if we'd taken it for granted. And then when it was taken away because of health protocols last year, you don't realize what you have until you lose it. And people said, oh, we got the parade back. We got Pumpkin Fest, sort of embraced it even more.
Yes, I agree. And I heard from a number of people that thanked us for having it again. And I felt the same way. It was great to have it back. And it's just a good community event.
616-395-1450. Some of the things going on before we talk about some of the things going on in the city. Even though the weather's going to start turning cooler and it will be a little bit different, the area around Main and Elm near City Hall has really become almost a go-to place between the splash pad and the other center right across the street from City Hall. It just seems as if that particular area of downtown Zeeland has really become a go-to place whenever there are activities going on in downtown Zeeland. You get that same feeling too?
Yeah, I think so. That's kind of what we designed it for, was a meeting place, and I think it's worked. Like you said, the splash pad gets used a lot, but like the other night we had a movie being played in the splash pad, and the splash pad is closed now, of course. And yeah, it's just a great place. The park across from City Hall gets used a lot just for people having a cup of coffee together, or if they get some tacos down the street at Streets Taco, they can go sit in the park and maybe play some cornhole or some other games they have there. So yeah, you're right. It's a great place to gather, and it's been used quite well.
Dare we say some other ideas could possibly be forthcoming, saying, we have that great gathering place, that's fine, but we're constrained a little bit by size. Maybe we need someplace else as well, or maybe work with some of the parks areas right now that can be able to accommodate maybe a skate park or an ice skating thing in the winter or stuff like that. More recreational activities. Is that possible in Zeeland, or to a certain extent we're maxed out already, especially downtown?
Well, I think downtown area, probably. They were talking about maybe doing some things at Vanderleister Square, which is on the corner of Church and Central. There are three corners there that are used as a park. So yeah, there's possibilities. We're doing the 5-year master plan for our parks, and they had an open house for that a couple of weeks ago, and got some public input. So we'll see how that turns out. But some of those things probably would be a better fit at Lawrence Street Park, which is fairly close to downtown, and even Hoagland Park, which is on Rich Street by the cemetery. And we have plans on redoing that. We gained some property there last year, and that park will be expanded. So we'll see what comes of that.
Part of having some activities is to attract people to the downtown area, especially, but to attract people into Zeeland. And I would think, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Kevin Klynstra, but I would think that the downtown area would probably be the most advantageous for bringing a good amount of people in, because if you want to go to maybe some of the other neighborhood parks, it's nice, especially for the residents of Zeeland. But if you want to try to get more of the community involved, it's kind of tough to get in or get out or park vehicles in those spots.
You are correct, yes. And, that's pretty much why we designed the splash pad where it is, and to bring people downtown. And that's worked. It's very well, probably the most well-used park that we have. And that's why we have activities downtown. We want to bring people in and show the people what we have in our downtown. A good example is the events we had on downtown on Friday night and Saturday night. We had bands playing on Main Street, and again, hundreds of people came out to enjoy that, and it was two beautiful evenings. So yeah, it's not just the splash pad area, it's Main Street, Church Street. We try to have events on those streets when we do have them, and it's worked out well.
616-395-1450 if you have a question for Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra. 616-395-1450. I apologize if I'm going to bark up a wrong tree, but I always think when we talk about Zeeland parks that even though it's been renewed, maybe a jewel that could be used and embellished even more, Heisinger Park, across from Business 196. I know it's kind of tough to sometimes get to, but they got a lot of things there that maybe might be used and could be utilized even more than it is now. Maybe I'm wrong, Kevin. I don't know.
Well, we're looking at that. We're looking at stage 3 of our Heisinger Park plan, and which would maybe put a pier out into Heisinger Pond for fishing, some more walkways. Right now we're going to put some horseshoe pits out there for some residents at Royal Park who wanted some horseshoe pits, so we'll be putting that in. And so yeah, it's we've got a long ways to go. We got to maybe expand the pickleball courts. So yeah, it's probably, besides the splash pad, that is a well-used park, and we'd like to make it even better.
616-395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Stevens. Good morning, Mayor Klynstra. You're one of the best mayors in Michigan, if not the country. I don't know if you've ever been to San Francisco, California. They've got an interactive museum there for the kids, and also an antique technology museum. I think maybe you want to consider something like that for Zeeland. I think they mentioned Zeeland, Michigan, on the news, national news last summer. But it might be wonderful for the tourist industry. And when I work for Waste Management, they threw away so many things of ancient technology and so forth. But it's good for the kids to learn something like that. And if you ever have a chance, go to San Francisco, see the interactive museum. So that's just my comment. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the call. 616-395-1450. There are some things that Zeeland can do. There are other things that might be more of a wish list situation. Anything else, Kevin?
Yeah, well, I appreciate his compliment. That was nice of him. But yeah, he talked about the museum, and the museum gets some money from the city, but it's not run by the city. But they do have, once in a while, they have programs for the kids and some interaction stuff that they can do, and they have tours that the classes of Zeeland and Zeeland schools go to for that. They have the schoolhouse on New Groningen that they go to, the refurbished old schoolhouse. So yeah, they have teachers bring their kids in there to have a class for a day or an afternoon, and that works out well. So yeah, I think we try to involve the kids as much as possible.
616-395-1450. Let's talk about a couple of things that were on the agenda for last night's meeting. And one, I don't know if how thick in the weeds we want to get on this, but the assessment, the business continuity evaluation and vulnerability assessment. What exactly was that, and how does that impact the residents of Zeeland?
It's a mouthful, that's for sure, with a title, but no, that is our internet. Our, how safe are we with our computers in the city and the BPW and the library, and ways to keep it safer. And yeah, we hired a new person several months ago, and he presented that to us last night. So we are going to hire a firm to look at our computer system and see what we can do to make it safer. And you hear of all these cities and power companies that get these ransomware things, and we would like to stay away from that. So we'd like to get our computer system as safe as possible.
Yeah, that definitely is. Yeah, it's a nice long way of saying anti-hacking.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, it's a big title, but yeah, you're right. That's pretty much what it is.
616-395-1450. We talked a little bit about some discussion about improving some areas. Main Avenue, Church Street, maybe get some funding to help the improvements in those areas.
Yeah, it looks like we had a meeting with the snow melt committee last Friday morning, and it looks like we're going to continue to look at snow melt and see how it or where it will be installed. Right now, it looks like it might just be on the sidewalks from between State and State and Maple, and yeah, it's still in the planning stages. It's nothing for sure yet, but it's looking more and more like it might happen. So hopefully, we have to look at what the costs are, of course, and what it will cost the landowners that are on it, and that's all very important. So yeah, at our next meeting, it will come before City Council, and then if that passes, then I'll go to the landowners and see what they have to say about it. So there's several different stages, but if we're going to do it, we have to get moving on it. So we kind of have a 2023 as our target date to get going on it. And if that's going to happen, we have a lot of things to do in between now and then.
Not only snow melt, but also it's the work with the Library Alley and the Cherry Avenue project aligned with the snow melt, or is that something entirely different?
That is part of the snow melt system now that is connected to boilers that are in the community center. And we put some new boilers in there last year. And so yeah, though, and that's where the other snow melt system will work out of too, is out of the community center. We have 4 boilers in there, and they that's a big enough system now that we can do that, those sidewalks in between State and Maple. And yeah, I think it would be a nice addition to our downtown and to even the school. They would have clear sidewalks to walk on Main Street.
One other thing, and I think this is more in line with a little bit of maybe more of Tim Klunder, city manager's line than it is with the mayor, but maybe you can comment or not, talking about snow melt and how long it's been around with Holland and how well it's been here. But I think one thing that perhaps Zeeland could say, hey, we can learn from what's going on in Holland is especially some of the newer snowbelt areas in Holland, when the bricks, especially if the brick is laid down in areas where there are trees. The trees sort of, the roots start growing up a little bit, and then the bricks get a little bit bumpy, and they have to do some, fixing along those lines. Maybe, the snow melt, if you're going to use bricks over the snow melt, maybe learn a lesson from what happened in Holland, so you don't have to, 3 or 4 years later, you got to replace the bricks because the tree roots are causing problems.
Yeah, that always is a problem, and yeah, we'll look at that. It's right now it looks like we might just use cement like we did around the Library Alley project, and on the new sidewalk we put on the north side of Cherry Street for between the community center and City Hall. So yeah, I know on our Voner, for the section in front of City Hall, we did use bricks, but we did put cement underneath that. So we have cement and then bricks, and so it's not just bricks on sand. So yeah, I think we found that cement works a little better, and it's also cheaper to put in. So
good idea. Good idea. Kevin, during the city manager's report, he noted that 2 longtime servants of the city of Zeeland will be saying their goodbyes, one in February and one coming up in the month of this month. And I do want your thoughts, because city council members probably worked with these men as well. First of all, Tom Ball's retirement going up in February.
Yes, we just found that out this week, that Officer Ball is going to retire in February. 33 years of service he'll have in, and a big thank you to Tom. For years it was always Sergeant Ball, but a couple of years ago he got a promotion to Lieutenant Ball. So he's been a long-serving police officer in our city, and well loved by the kids. He was the resource officer for the schools for many years, so many of the kids grew up knowing Officer Ball, and yeah, so he's been a big part of our police department for many years, and we appreciate his service. And the other one was Scott Nienhuis. He was our street supervisor, and he had many years in as well. I forget what the number, I think it was in the 40-year range. And again, great job that Scott did over the years of keeping our streets clear of snow in the wintertime and keeping our parks looking nice in the summertime. And his plate was always full. He did a great job for the city, and we appreciate his service.
And Scott, by the way, according to City Manager Tim Klunder's note, looks like there might be an open house on the 22nd of October. So that'd be very, very nice.
Yeah, that's kind of up in the air right now. We're not sure if it's going to be a public open house or just for the city employees. It's up to Scott. We give each employee a chance to say what they would prefer. So we'll see how that comes out.
In both those situations with both Tom and Scott, these are people that let's just say I talk with you. You're the mayor of the city of Zeeland, and you're on with us on a monthly basis. If you're not available, we chat with city manager Tim Klunder. Very accessible, and we certainly appreciate that. In other city council members that we've talked to in the past, longtime servants, for the most part, they're well aware. But people like Tom, people like Scott, they're the people that don't get the pub. They don't get the recognition. And I'm just kind of glad we're able to mention their contributions and basically our way of saying thank you.
Yes, well, I appreciate you bringing that up, Gary, because you're right. They're behind the scenes most of the time, and they don't. They hear a lot of complaints, but a lot of times they don't hear the thank yous and the good job that they're doing. So we try to do that as a city council, and I'm sure Tim Klender does it as well, to tell them that they are doing a good job, and we're sorry to lose them, but we've lost a lot of good people in the last few years through retirements, long-serving people, and we must be doing something right in the city of Zeeland that we could keep these people working for us for such a long time.
One final thing, Mayor Kevin Klynstra, let's look at some of the events going on between now and the next time we chat in early November, most notably Trick or Treat. It is a Sunday for the for Halloween, but what's the deal with the youngsters maybe going into downtown Zeeland looking for some goodies from some of the fine retailers?
Yes, we'll be having our downtown trick or treat on the Friday before Halloween. So you can come downtown after school on that Friday, usually with your parents, and most of the store owners have either something inside their store or outside. Most of them have tables set up outside where you can get candy, and a very, very well attended events. Usually over 1,000 kids come through if the weather's nice. And we've had all kinds of weather over the years, snow, heat, and rain. So hopefully it stays as nice as it is now. But yes, so that's one of them. And as far as for the citizens, we do have the leaf pickup that we're beginning, and probably towards the end of October. So just remember, no sticks in the leaf piles. It's just for leaves, and let's keep it that way so it's easier for our city employees to pick up. They don't have to scrummage through the pile. It gets pick out the sticks.
Real quickly, is it still a goal for the Christmas parade shortly after Thanksgiving in Zeeland, or is that still up in the air?
It looks like it's going to happen, seeing how the Pumpkin Fest went off. The Zeeland festivals are planning that, so unless something drastic happens, it will take effect.
Just want to sort of make people aware of things going on, and they can plan their calendars accordingly.
That's good. That's what this show is all about, Gary. So appreciate that.
He is Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra. He joins us once a month on the first Tuesday of the month, talk about what's going on in his community. Kevin, I wish you and everyone at City Hall nothing but the best over the month of October. Thank you for your time, and if all goes well, let's do this again. I'd say about 4 weeks from now, right?
Sounds good, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin Klynstra, 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.